It's Tuesday, January 28th, and time for your Barbados Today morning news update. Rattled but healthy. That's how Barbados' ambassador to China, François Jackman, is describing 3 Barbadian students based in Wuhan, where the coronavirus has triggered a lockdown of the city. Speaking to Barbados Today from the Barbados Embassy in Beijing, Ambassador Jackman revealed that he is in regular contact with the students and they are fine so far. He said the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has been fully briefed on the 2 males and 1 female who are currently holed up in their college dormitory rooms. At the same time, Health and Wellness Minister Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostic, who led a tour of the infectious disease facility at Enmore yesterday, also expressed concern about Barbadians in that country and Chinese who have to conduct business here.
That one would be for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and I'm sure that they are making those contacts. But I can say to you that this is also a concern for us in terms of persons returning to Barbados. And not only students, we have people who are going on seminars, whether business, cultural, medical, sports. And we also have Chinese who come here to work, as China State Corporation and so on.
Meanwhile, healthcare officials are leaving nothing to chance in a bid to keep out the deadly virus and have announced fresh plans to tighten controls at the country's main ports of entry. Immigration, customs and baggage handling officials are among those on the front line of the island's response to the threat, and according to Chief Medical Officer Dr. Kenneth George, they will be receiving key information to assist them in the coming days. He says at ports of entry, all persons who have made recent visits to China will receive mandatory interviews and rigorous screening.
The ports of entry, we have instituted prevention. If a person is identified, let's say, within the plane, there's protocols to decide which passengers are immediately at risk, and those persons will be taken care of based on particular guidelines. When persons enter the airport, as I said, there are 2 prongs. We have increased the questions to include China on the automated system and the kiosks, and persons who have visited China, all of those persons should be interviewed. And then we will make a determination if they are at risk or not at risk. If they are not at risk, we will follow them for 14 days. If they are more at risk, what we will do is either decide if they need admission or take the appropriate steps.
Attention will also be paid to ports of entry in the north of the island.
I think only 2 to 3% of the total traffic comes through ports in charge. We have not forgotten them, but if we were to put our resources, the most likely place that a virus will enter Barbados is through the airport, and then secondly through the seaport in Bridgetown, and then thirdly, way behind, maybe a possibility for ports in charge or ports further down. But it's not that we haven't forgotten them. If as resources come, we intend to have a prolonged presence up there.
In other news, the Transport Board's financial controller, Felicia Su, claims her concerns about financial accountability protocols were ignored by the former management of the state-owned agency. She made the revelation yesterday as the Public Accounts Committee continued its investigations into alleged improprieties between 2015 to 2018 at the cash strap entity. Accompanied by her legal representative, Chester Su, the financial controller explained that she was also concerned that not enough persons were trained on how to use the Magneto management system.
The person responsible for finance, it was at this time, from what I remember in 2015, because there were no manuals and it was concerned that the system, only few persons knew how to use the system. So if that person was not available, you had to wait on them. So I just wanted to ensure that all information was being captured from what I could remember, because as I said here, this is to allow for greater efficiency in data collection and recording. I also did say, additionally, any discrepancies in invoicing by service providers will more easily be identified and reconciliations completed within a reasonable time. So to answer your question, purely from an accounting point of view, I wanted to make sure that the finance department could verify work that had been done and that all the relevant information was being captured.
During the hearing, Sue told the committee she also had serious concerns about the amount of money being spent on bus repairs.
The total level of expenditure always jumped out at me. I had serious concerns about the amount of money that we were spending in repairs and maintenance for buses, and especially not seeing the results to be in agreement with the amount that we were spending. The bus availability was not in keeping with that.
Barbados and the rest of the region are being warned against depending on foreign aid to help rebuild following a natural disaster. It comes from Eduardo Cavallo, principal economist in the research department of the Inter-American Development Bank, who is also urging authorities to pay more attention to preparation. He was making a presentation during the IDB hosted panel discussion at the Courtyard by Marriott yesterday on the topic, the economic impacts of natural disasters.
And an implication that I take out of that is that countries would then be well served through alternative financing, ex-ante financing tools, things such as reserve funds, contingency credit lines, regional risks pool, or insurance or reinsurance contract. And we have done a case study, which we are trying to expand now to other countries, in which we show that the availability of insurance can help that sustainability.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Craft Center. Kick off the weekend this Friday from 4 p.m. to midnight with loads of food, drinks, and entertainment. Get ready for Crop Over with the Rhythm Roots Street Parade. Party like it's Kadooman Day on the street around Pelican Village with costume reveler, music, and more. It's Festive Friday. It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Village Center from 4 p.m. to midnight. Admission free.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Regional news now. A multi-sectoral task force is being established in the Bahamas to monitor and control the spread of the E. coli bacteria. Officials say it was detected in a number of groundwater wells in North Andros. More of that story from ZNS News.
Conducted 25 tests, 72% of them came back with E. coli at an unacceptable level.
Executive Director of the Bahamas Agricultural, Health and Food Safety Authority, Christopher Worrell, revealing the results of recent tests conducted by the authority showing E. coli bacteria within several groundwater wells in North Andros. Residents, particularly farmers, now on high alert. During a town hall meeting at the Huntley Christie High School in North Andros Friday evening, local health and food safety officials advised North Androsians to decontaminate, safely monitor, and treat their wells with chlorine tablets to avoid contamination. Antibacterial solutions and chlorine now accessible to farmers for their produce.
And finally, the death toll from the spreading coronavirus passes 100, causing stocks to crumble over concerns about the economic impact. The details of that story in this Reuters TV report.
The U.S. State Department said on Monday Americans should reconsider going to any part of China. That comes in the midst of a coronavirus outbreak that began in Wuhan and has now left more than 100 dead in China. U.S. President Donald Trump offered assistance to Beijing to contain the outbreak. Despite worldwide efforts to increase travel restrictions, the virus has continued to spread outside China. On Monday, Germany declared its first case of the virus. Confirmed cases have also been found in places like Australia, Canada, and the U.S. None of the deaths have been outside of China so far. Officials in Hubei are under increasing pressure from the public, owing to their initial response to the virus. On Monday, Chinese Premier Li Keqiang visited Wuhan. He is the most senior official to visit the city since the outbreak began. State media showed Li in Wuhan praising medics and saying thousands more workers will be coming in the next 2 days.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.